And it brings another point. We had this conversation the other day, right? Who runs the daily stand-up? And pretty much everybody, the
The
Scrum
Scrum
Master.
Master. No.
And no,
From South Florida, I'm Dave.
and here in Dallas, I am Q.
And we're going to talk about the Daily Scrum, one of the 5 events to help you, your team, your organization with better ways of working. All right, Q, so let's set it up. We're talking about the Daily Scrum. If you follow Scrum, it's a no longer than 15-minute event where we all give status to each other?
Well, the reason I wanted to talk about this today, I saw a post on LinkedIn. It's a great source of useless information if you're not aware of that, but this post was precious. Some person who claims to be a developer, right, probably just cut some paste code from Stack Overflow or ChatGPT, but they think they're developers. But anyway, this is the posting. I was flabbergasted. Well, you see, this is why this daily stand-up stuff doesn't work. And it doesn't need to be Scrum, having daily meetings for planning for the day is a good thing. This is not a Scrum.
It's a great thing.
It's a great thing. Okay. So his point is, he said, well, typical developer day. I get to the office, I sit down, and then I open my email. Oh, there is this funny cat video thing to watch. And then I watch the cat video thing. And then somebody pings me on Slack and talks about some Game of Thrones stuff and et cetera, et cetera. Then I finally get up my chair, go get my coffee and all that stuff. And I come back and I answer some more stuff and et cetera. And then I finally am going to open Notepad++ or Visual Studio Code and start typing code. And then I am on the flow, man. 6 minutes later, the code is actually writing by themselves, and all that stuff. I'm on the flow. And then I get called to go to the daily stand-up to give my status. And there goes my flow. The reason I got really pissed about this, can we say pissed on the podcast? Well, probably can.
I'll bleep it out if we can't.
Yeah, you bleep it out. But anyway, so here's the deal. You get in, you watch cat videos, then you talk about some show on TV, then you go get your coffee, and then probably in the process of getting your coffee, you talk in the kitchen for like half an hour, somebody else. Then you finally sit your butt to do work, and then you complain that you're going to waste maybe 10 minutes of your life to plan for the day.
With your team.
With your team, the people that you work with. And so during that day, either in Slack, Teams, or whatever messaging app you are, you don't get interrupted at all, right? So you don't talk about the cat videos during the day, don't you? So all that stuff. So that's what drives me nuts, is when people come to me and say, well, I think this daily stand-up is useless. Well, you spent an hour doing absolutely nothing, which is actually screwing up your team, mind you, right? Because they're depending on you, right? And then you complain that we need to have this meeting. Now, if it's just to complain that the meeting is about giving status, I'm all there with you. That's a waste of time, right? The point of that meeting is to plan for the day. So if you have your daily stand-up at 11 in the morning, that's not a good idea because half of the day already gone, right? So do not come to me and say that that's an interruption on your day, because we have tons of interruptions during the day. And not doing anything for an hour and then claiming that you're interrupted for 10 minutes, it's at best criminal. Now, what's the point of that meeting? And like Dave said, it's a good idea, and it doesn't need to be Scrum. If you have Kanban teams, any kind of team, it's very common. First thing in the day, everybody gets together and hey, let's figure out what we can do today, right? That advances our progress towards accomplishing whatever, right? I seen that in construction sites. I see that everywhere. I mean,
I've done it in my field as well, but I was an engineer, and it was 30 minutes, and it was the best 30 minutes of the day, to be honest with you, because everybody knew what was going on and where they needed to focus their attention the rest of the day.
Yeah, and you can ask for help. It's like, it's not about giving stats. They say, hey, Dave, I never used this Python thing. I'm a C++ guy. You're a Python guy. Can you help me out with this stuff? Right?
Yeah.
That's for it. Or Dave comes and I said, hey, Q, I have to go to the doctor this afternoon. Can you cover for me?
Yeah, exactly.
Sure. That's what we use that meeting for. It's not to give you status. So 2 things I had with this post is, this person wastes an hour doing absolutely nothing. Then it writes 5 minutes of code and then complains that they got interrupted for 10 minutes. Like they don't have any other interruption pinging on the messaging app the whole day.
Yeah. And then I've seen where some teams say, hey, can we just do it in Slack? Okay, I guess you can, but I really advise teams start off doing it in person if you're in the office or on Zoom with your webcams on, because I've seen situations where the conversation really leads to some good understanding. If you're just typing a few sentences in a thread on Slack or Teams or something, like you're going to miss out on stuff. But over time, and again, things can change over time. Maybe your team starts off doing it one way and they switch to another way, or special circumstances mean you want to change it. That, like, we got to stop with the it has to be done this way stuff. I mean, I have my favorites, you have yours, Hugh, but in the end, studies have shown that when teams come together and it used to be an hour, they could see a lot of benefit. They said, no, we don't need an hour, just 15 minutes. And we can even do it in 10 or 5 minutes if we use the tool effectively. But Agile is about team. Don't forget, Agile is about team, right? And so your work impacts other people, especially the people on your team. So take just a little bit of time every day to talk about it. That's all we're talking about here.
And it brings another point. We had this conversation in training the other day, right? Who runs the daily stand-up? And pretty much everybody, the Scrum
Master. No.
And no. Oh my God, LinkedIn can complain that Q said something. Come. So, but again, there's myths that people don't know about and they keep repeating because somebody created the myth and a lie repeated 1,000 times becomes the truth. Go see the quote. It's a person I don't sympathize with, but he was actually up to something in there, right? So here's the deal. Very good group of teams, and they're repeating this. And we said, no, your gig as a Scrum Master, if you're doing Scrum, or even if it's some sort of leadership that's having that meeting, that doesn't need to be Scrum. Your gig is to make sure it happens and it is productive. It's a very huge sign of dysfunction when that meeting gets canceled because you couldn't make it. And they cannot have the meeting if you are not there, whoever you are.
Absolutely. The team should be able to carry on without you.
Yeah, because the point of that meeting is to plan for the day. Mm-hmm. If Dave is your Scrum Master or is your lead, again, this doesn't apply to Scrum only, applies to anything, right?
Yeah.
And Dave is not there and the meeting gets canceled, it means that we actually don't have a team. We have a bunch of people doing stuff that somebody told them to do it. They have no idea why they're doing it, or they're doing to appease somebody who has a higher, I'm going to say hierarchy again, LinkedIn. They have somebody who is higher than the hierarchy, So that's a dysfunction. So we don't do, Scrum used to call them ceremonies, then they renamed it to events. I mean, let's be serious. It's a meeting, okay? That's what it is. We don't do those things because somebody said so, the framework said so. We do those things in order to be productive. And if they are not productive, we shouldn't be doing this, regardless of what the framework said. Now, the reason there is this daily meeting, it's very simple, is to figure out what you can do that day to advance the work that you are trying to accomplish, how we can collaborate, how we can cooperate, how we can work together as a team, because alone, we are not going to get a lot of stuff done, right? That's why we work with other people. And then, if one person that is part of that team doesn't show up and the meeting gets canceled, immediately tells me that we don't have a team. So if we don't have a team, how can we work as a team? We don't have one. We have a bunch of people, doing things on their own. There's no collaboration.
It's like golf. A bunch of individual players, but I guess if it's a scramble, that's one way to work as a team. But
But I mean, that's not a real team, because you don't get to know each other. More important, you don't learn from each other. Dave and I work together. We all learn from each other. There are things that he's much better than I am. There are things I'm much better than he is, and we keep learning from each other.
Yeah, I've learned a lot.
Yeah, and the other people we work with or work for, we are always learning.
I'm always
Which is-
learning. I love to learn, and I'm
yeah.
still learning even at my old age.
So you have to use that meeting, that short meeting, that a good team doesn't even need the 15 minutes to work together as a team so we can learn from each other, we can get better at what we do, and we can be productive.
Yeah.
Not complaining that you have to go to a 10-minute meeting after you spend an hour doing stuff that has nothing to do with what you're actually supposed to be doing with your team, which is okay. We all take breaks. Use the meeting for what it's supposed to be, is a communication tool for everybody to come together and figure out, hey, I need help today. Who can I help? How can we work together? How can we get stuff done? That's what it's for. If it's a Scrum, not Scrum, I don't care what it is. I don't care if it's an event, a ceremony, a meeting. I care is about the principle of why we have it.
Yeah, there's no doubt teams are where it's at, both for personal benefit, the company's benefit, the team members' benefit. The way things are in this year of 2024, as far as knowledge work, teams, right? Your work impacts other people and vice versa. So therefore, getting into a team and the daily scrum, as we're talking about here, is a very vital part every day for the communication and coordination and getting that high bandwidth communication through talking. So is that it for this one?
That's it for this one.
Okay. Now it's your turn, folks. Put in the comments, who are these people on LinkedIn you're talking about? Maybe we should invite them or something. Anyway, thanks for watching, folks, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.